Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about medium format camera. So let's dive right into it. Well, first we have to understand what the heck we are talking about. We are talking about a zone between full frame and large format. This is a very critical aspect because when I say full frame or when I say 35mm, there is a defined size. It does not matter whether you are talking about Sony, Panasonic, Canon, and Nikon. All of them would be same, or even like old Kodak film reels. They will all be exactly same. There is a one format which we call full frame. So that's it. Now here's the medium format does not work like that. It's basically the translation of medium format is simple. You go above full frame, you are in medium format zone. The moment you cross 100mm by 100mm, basically large format, then you cross the basically medium format zone. So there is a zone from full frame to large format. The gap in between is basically medium format. So every camera manufacturer can have their own unique sensor size. So you can have Fuji, which has a different sensor size. You can have a phase one which will have completely different sensor size, and both of them will be called medium format. Because of the medium format's naming convention is inherently a zone based. It's not like this is it. Now it was a very popular format, not this current mess, but again back in the days, aka in 1900s, this was quite popular. And if you are familiar with your camera history, you know before SLR became a thing, there were twin lens camera systems. The twin lens camera, most of them were medium format. So medium format has experienced a very long history. Basically it's a known time tested system. Now as full frame, aka 35mm, became more prominent, more capable, more wise, and better lens selection started to appear. And people, because like everything is a compromise, you want YOLO amounts of performance, but you will not be able to carry it. Basically you want the best image, by Hubble Space Telescope. That's the reality of it. So there's always a compromise. It's like how big of equipment you are willing to carry versus how good of a quality you are willing to accept. So generally smaller basically image sensors, basically films that are very small, let's say 8mm, 16mm, these are good for videos and all that jazz, but really not that good for image. So for people sacrificed on 35mm. So 35mm was like small enough to carry and yet have quality high enough. Medium format was not that good. So medium format went from that common everyday market to niche market. Now again, tangibly it does have better quality, because you can see the negative is inherently huge, so it does have inherent quality benefit to it. So it never died off. It went into high end, and its pricing, basically the equipment cost, went into super high end. And outcome of that was, even though basically magazines like Playboy and all that jazz, they were utilizing this puppy like non-stop. In basically once digital equipment started to come in, instead of replacing the camera, lens, and all equipments which were very rarely manufactured, they started to create digital back, basically remove the film place and just put the digital system there. So that's how it started. Only recently, as early as like 2000, early 2000, then you started to reach a point where you'll get completely contained digital medium format camera. So this is what we are talking about here. Now why the heck people want to choose medium format even though full frame is tangibly good enough? And again, I can guarantee you, if I show you a photo from the best mobile phone out there versus basically a full frame camera, in 5 seconds you will be able to, not even full 5 seconds, you will like look at it like, bro, yep, that's it, that's what it is. So there is a same look applies to medium format. However, that gap is much smaller, but there is a look, there is a tangible look, because again, you go from APS-C to full frame, you get some advantage. Same logic applies. If you go from full frame to medium format, you get more advantages. So there is a look, inherent look to it. And because of basically the size of the image projection, basically how big it has to project, the lenses become much more forgiving. That's why like we have been utilizing this very early on. But if you went into 1900 and asked someone to grind and polish a lens that would be used in tiny sensor camera like your mobile phone, they would not be able to. Like the quality and precision required for our mobile lenses, those are ludicrous. Like one tiny scratch, you're done. A big format, like you can have a cracks. Like many people have actual cracks in their full frame lenses and still works. And medium format is even more forgiving. So what does that allow? That allows you, if you were gonna spend time truly get a proper lens, the outcome of that would be whoa. Like this is a tangible benefit of that. And dynamic range, again, larger image circle, larger projection area, more dynamic range. And because of the inherent size of it, diffraction is not as much an issue as in full frame. Basically, if you are familiar with lenses, you know for a fact lens aperture cannot be shrunk down to ludicrous level. Basically, you buy a lens, let's say f2.8, you'll know for a fact that till f8 it's everything is good. The moment you start to go, let's say f11 or f12, even though it can physically go there, the light quality starts to degrade. No longer, oh, it becomes more and more sharper. It becomes a basically diffraction started to cause the image to become hazy and blurry. That does not happen in medium format to till basically one more stop you can push. So that's also useful in many scenarios. And not to mention, the inherent nature of this is not bang for buck. They do not, like all the companies that make basically, be it Hasselblad, be it phase one, they are not designing this equipment to be bang for buck. Basically, they are not like, hey, we want to sell as much as that. No, they are not. They are making one instrument. It's like, this is what we got, buy it or leave it. So they have different kind of mindset, and very few company can have the claim that, yeah, we've been to moon. Hasselblad does have that claim, and if I'm not mistaken, Nikon also has that. So again, there is a certain prestige to it. You may want it, you may not want it, or you may not even care about it, but there is a prestige to it. So what are your options? Let's say you are like, okay, I got this, I want to go into medium format. What are my options? Well, you have very cheap option. Yes, I'm very clear about this statement. $10,000 camera is the cheap in medium format, because I specified the camera went into high end, their prices went into ludicrous end. So Fuji film GFX series, it's very cheap end, and that's why I laugh anybody who says like, oh, sensor size does not matter, my Fuji is good enough. I'm like, Fuji knows that that's not the case. That's why they are making medium format. And the reason why other companies are not making medium format, like let's say Nikon and Canon, they want to mass sell. Basically, they want to sell as many as possible. So for them, it's not suited. So Fuji is like, trying art of war kind of strategy, at least according to Angry Photographer. So Fujifilm has this one option. It's a very good, cheap, easy startup point. But this is one thing I want for you to understand thoroughly. Its sensor is bit bigger than full frame, not too much bigger. Then you go to Hasselblad, still even bit bigger, but not too much bigger. Then you go to phase one, that is really, really big medium format cameras. At this point, nobody doubts it. Like the moment you see the sensor, you're like, that's not a sensor, that's like huge, the sensor is. So prices also go like that. It's like Fujifilm, okay, you can afford it if you are like crazy. Hasselblad, whoa, you should not drive anything below high-end BMWs and something like that. Then you go to phase one, it's like, bro, I'm not gonna talk to you. Basically, that's the pricing range here. You have cheap, very expensive, ludicrously expensive. So these are the options here, and all of them make our full frame expensive camera look like toys. So what's the reality of it? Again, it has the prestige, but the reality is it's too ludicrously overpriced. Basically, you go from APS-C to full frame, you get a certain amount of jump, and the biggest jump you get is basically ludicrously large lens selection. And I don't mean only by the first party. Let's say you're like, hey, I bought this company. This company has, let's say, 27 lenses. Again, let's say the lens costs are too huge. Let's say Canon lenses are expensive, Sony lenses are ludicrously expensive, and you're like, what the hell am I gonna do here? Like, I bought the body, but I can't afford the lens. Again, there are third-party options, be it Sigma, be it Tamron. Same, you have a lot of options, luxuries there. Here you do not have that. The cost is idiotically limited, and because of the different sensor size, the lenses are limited too. Basically, you go to phase one, you have to select their own lenses. You have to go to Hasselblad, they have to buy their own lenses, because you do not have like Sigma and Tamron and Voigt lenses. Again, they used to do that in back in the days, because again, this technology is very ancient, but it's not something like you can be like, hey, I'm gonna buy this. You have to be very mindful of that. So cost is very, very out of reach, like $60,000. I'm like, wow, that's like a price of a full studio, like full photography, high-end modeling studio would cost you that much. So at some point, price starts to become like, whoa, a bit much. And the benefits that it has, it tangibly does have that benefit. It does have that look, because again, if you go from mobile sensor to APS-C, you can easily tell. You go from APS-C to full frame, you can easily tell. So that logic applies here also. You go from full frame to basically medium format, you can tell, but not that much. That's the inherent limitation of it. It's not that whoa, the mind blown won't be like whoa. And you can see the videos I have provided down below, where you can see Tonality trying so hard to justify compared to a Nikon, and Nikon was creating much more pleasing, much more basically creamy photographs, if I would say so. So benefits are only realized in very niche kind of applications, and you have to understand this. This is equipment at the other end of the day. So equipments are only valuable if your clients are happy with it. I'm basically, let's say somebody comes with you like for my wedding photography, they're not gonna care whether you have like Mac or PC. They just care about the output. So medium format is something like that. If your client values, let's say you are working for Playboy or some Rolex watch companies and all that, they would have like flat out like, bro, you show up to our studio without any medium format, get out. So that can be understandable, but you have to find clients like that. It's not something that, oh, I'm gonna bring it to wedding photography. You can do that, it will work, and modern systems are much better than a few years ago, but still nowhere near to like a proper full frame system. So you have to find clients that value that. Now slow speed. This is kind of odd because again in luxury world the idea is very simple. You spend as much as money as you can, but then you try to get best of everything. So let's say it's like you're buying a gold carat iPhone. That iPhone won't have 16 GB. That will have the highest GB possible from Apple. So here it's kind of invert of that. You're spending a lot of money, but the electronics used in them. I'm not talking about the sensor. I'm talking the electronics that goes behind it. It's not awesome. It's not like whoa, I turn it on, magic done. It's instantly startup. It does not work like that, or it does not have like amazing video camera. Most of them flat can't do video. Other times the videos they can do, you'll be like, really, bro, really? So the electronics that are put inside them, they are not lightning fast. They are basically, hey, you bought this, you are either doing modeling, you are either doing landscape, or you're doing still objects photography. You are not in a hurry. So basically this camera forces you to sit down. Basically if you have seen the meme videos where like models are doing like 15-16 shots are taking in a burst mode, if you are doing something like that, don't even think about it. Most of these cameras don't even have burst modes, so be mindful of that. Speed wise, it's inherently slow, even though it costs 10 times more than that. And full frame, because of the basically recent market crash that happened to the photography industry. Basically around 2010 they were going YOLO, they were selling upwards of 100 million units, then it dropped to 13-14 million units. Every camera company started to push their technology as they will do. And not to mention the market company went from basically two major manufacturers, Nikon and Canon, to Nikon, Canon and Sony. So there is a lot of competition, and competition drives innovation drives the performance you can get, basically bang for buck in your current technology. And mind-bogglingly good technology is available right now in basically full frame and for surprisingly cheap price. So at this point in time, it's no longer like, whoa, medium format is on a different level. It's like, no, it is better, is not too much better. And the lack of lens selection, because again, medium format, what? Fuji medium format, Hasselblad medium format, phase 1 medium format, which medium format? And don't even think about sports or wildlife. You dare to try that, right? Like people will dare you to try that. Hey, just try that. Now you make it that, let's say some birds are very static for a very long amount of time. You can shut your system up and you're like, okay, I'm gonna capture it, try it 2-3 times. And most of these cameras are designed in such a way that you're supposed to be connected to a computer in order to see the actual image quality. So reality wise, it's not as glamorous as you think. It does have its own niche, but that's all there is to it. It's a niche. It's not something that I can recommend, or any Tom, Dick and Harry will recommend, hey, buy it and utilize it. It's like for niche product. So this was my presentation on medium format cameras. I hope you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I'd urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.